Good morning, everybody. So I was watching a video about the new gun control legislation in Canada. Um, Frankly, I don't think about Canada much, so I don't know the specifics, but apparently I think it's some kind of long rifle ban, basically trying to get rid of like ARs and anything that's scary. And I've been thinking a lot about gun control. I really probably just about every day. I spend some time accidentally or intentionally thinking about gun control and the arguments for and against it. And what bugs me all the time, what bugs me a lot, and I had to really try to dig down into why, like the logic behind this feeling or this assessment, is that I was explaining I think I was talking to my brother. But I've said this to multiple people, like, oh, so you think everyone should be allowed to own nukes? And I said, if I felt I needed a nuke to defend my family, then yeah, then I would want to be able to own a nuke. I don't have the means to get one, and it wouldn't do me any good to own a nuke. So that's pointless. But again, if say, suddenly we were being attacked by monsters from space and the government was just like, well, we have our nukes, but we don't think that's appropriate. We don't want to judge the space aliens when maybe we just don't understand their culture as to why they're slaughtering millions. I'd say, okay, I'm going to go get me a nuke because you're not doing anything. And apparently this is the only thing that would work. So yes, I would do my very best to get a nuke and shoot it at the space monsters. Any other situation, somewhat realistic, hopefully that's not realistic situation. Although I guess it would be exciting, maybe. Probably create a lot more gun owners. So I don't need a nuke. It doesn't do me any good. Anything that's likely to happen in my everyday life, or even not likely but possible, a nuke wouldn't help me. Same as, oh, well, people should be able to own tanks. First off, people can own tanks. People can own and operate tanks. People have private collections. A lot of people own tanks. Hell, if you have the time and resources, you can go build your own tank. Now, can you get some high explosive and armor piercing rounds and load them in your 75mm cannon and go driving around and shooting at stuff? If you're far enough away from people, maybe. I know there's weird laws, like you can technically, I believe you can technically get a license to be able to own automatic weapons, and like you can legally own a Browning 50 cal machine gun, I believe, in the United States, but it's very specific kind of licenses and stuff. But so people can own tanks. You can make your own, as long as you have a strong frame, a big motor, and a steel mill nearby or a steel shop nearby, then you can just make your own tank. So that's kind of pointless. But again, if I felt a tank was necessary to protect my family, I would want a tank. But reasonably speaking, if you are well-versed and you're experienced and you have the right firearms at your disposal, which you operate safely, that pretty much handles pretty much every threat that you're somewhat reasonably likely to encounter on a given day. So I don't need a tank. I don't need nukes. So that is ultimately my calculus for gun control, is what is necessary to serve the purpose of being a militia. What do I need? If the Chinese were invading tomorrow, well, they wouldn't make it across the ocean probably, but again, knock on wood. But if we were being invaded, then I'd want some RPGs. I'd want some grenades. I'd want some other things that would be necessary to fight a war. Still, guns, if you've got the right ones, are pretty damn useful for that. But I don't need that. A reasonable assessment to me is that I have no real use for those that isn't at least almost equally provided by the firearms themselves. Now, I may or may not own any firearms, just to be clear. But yes, so that's my basic calculus is, does it serve the purpose of allowing me to defend myself, my family, my community? And is there some purpose that it doesn't serve that I need a different tool for? As far as I've assessed, pretty much everything I would need any kind of grenades or anything for, I can do just as well with whatever firearms I may or may not own. And while thinking about all of this, I thought about trying to kind of go back in time, and because personally I think humanity has this like superstructure of civilization that's been built up for centuries and millennia, and we just don't really remember what it is to be humans. Some people more than others, but what I mean by this is, what is freedom? And should I think of this as the government telling me what I'm allowed to do? Or is the government trying to take things from me, things that should be my right? Well, what is a human right? What is freedom? And I thought, well, if I'm off in the woods, if it's 1,000 years ago and I'm off in the woods, I don't get anything from anyone unless they want to give it to me, or I guess at that point, even today, if you take it, but I can just do whatever I want as long as I can do it. And I can go, I live and I don't get any security from anyone else. I have to defend myself. I have to light a fire and watch for the wolves, but no one is going to tell me you can't make a semi-automatic spear thrower. Or it can only have 10 shots, 10 bolts in the quiver or whatever. So I don't get the benefits of living in civilization, living in society, but nobody tells me what to do. So there's good and there's bad. So to me, that's the base level of freedom. You do whatever you want, as long nobody else has to give you anything. Well, like I said, you're off in the woods by yourself. No one's there to give you anything, but you can do whatever you want, as long as you can do it. However, then I'm off in the woods by myself for a while. I'm gathering fruit, and all of a sudden I come across this group that they've been cultivating some flower, and it smells nice, or maybe they have a potato farm. And I went, oh, I've never seen this before. Are these people growing their own food? That's pretty interesting. Well, here, maybe I can give you some of my fruit, and you give me some of your potatoes, and we're good. And from that point on, all of the various structures of civilization are just a means to an end to deal with the inherent difficulties and dangers of people interacting with each other. What if I go and give that person some fruit and they say, okay, as soon as we harvest the potatoes, we'll give you the potatoes that you're owed. And I go back and they say, what are you talking about? You never gave us any fruit. So then you go, okay, well, at that time you probably just kill them and take their potatoes, but not that you should, to be clear. So you develop maybe contracts, or you develop an agreed upon method of exchange, some kind of currency, maybe you make it out of a coin or a piece of paper or something. And you go, okay, well, here's your fruit, and you give me these pieces of paper, and this piece of paper says, okay, this is good, worth for 10 potatoes. Okay, good to go. Then people work together more. Somebody steals from somebody else finds another way to break a contract, somebody murders somebody, and you start having to build up these structures, and you go, okay, what exactly of my freedom am I giving up, and for what benefit? So I live in a city. There's certain powers that police have that I can't really do anything about. Now, if you're like an amazing lawyer about self-defense or something, I don't know, but I'm sure there's specifics to it, and there are limits to what they're legally allowed to do, but you go, okay, I'm going to relinquish some of my freedom, relinquish some of what some of my ability to choose what I want to do for the sake of peace, commerce, security, relative peace, obviously, and a system that, you know what, there's certain things I'm not allowed to do, but that's me agreeing and saying, okay, I'm willing to buy into this system, and I will give up this, this, and this in exchange for these things. Now, the entire equation has been just flipped. It's been flipped, turned around. Nobody even cares anymore. It's just the structure of civilization is just a thing, and we just do stuff. And frankly, it kind of related to this theory, which I think, if you take that to its logical conclusion, then the more the people are being asked to sacrifice things, then the more they expect to get in return. I think instinctually, but it's just a running theory. So, you know, eventually people have to give up enough, and they say, well, why aren't I getting free healthcare? Why aren't you, why aren't I getting a universal basic income? And the stupid thing is, yeah, that their logic in this equation, if you play it out to its logical conclusion, I think you reach that point. Well, okay, I'm not allowed to do anything you don't want me to do. If that's the case, then you have to give me a lot more. You have to give me everything I need. So when people, and I just go off on tangents because there's so many connections between different ideas and different concepts and different current events. If the argument between like socialism and capitalism, it's bullshit. And I think actually everyone has fair arguments. The problem is we now have a system where the capitalist, freedom-leaning people who say, I'm going to take care of myself, you need to take care of yourself, and maybe if we're friends, we can help each other out. If we're a community, we can help each other out, take care of each other, but you don't get to force me to give you anything. And the other people are going, well, I'm having so much taken from me to prop up this system, then this isn't a fair playing field. You have to give me stuff. And they're arguing with each other when, luckily, I'm happy to see that more and more of both of those sides have started to realize, oh, we can't do the freedom thing because manipulative, authoritarian fuckwits are taking everything from us. And that's an oversimplification. Yeah, I think you really still can, if you work hard, you can succeed in life and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But both sides have started to go, oh, so it's all corrupt. And now you just keep taking more freedoms. Everything is getting worse. My life isn't getting better for the freedoms I'm giving up. So seems we're at a crossroads. And I hope these people stop. I really, really hope these people stop, because I think one of these other crossroads that was reached was, 1917 or 1918, the Russian Revolution? 1917, 1918, Russia, or 1800s, France? When was... It's been a while since I studied the French Revolution, but, or, you know, revolutionary France. And people eventually go, hey, this deal isn't really working out. So, look, Louis, sorry, trust us. It's not us, it's you. And we're just gonna have to, get the guillotine out. I don't want that to happen. So I hope these people stop, because to me, I believe we're reaching that point where we're reaching a nexus where more is being taken and less is being given back for this agreement, for this deal we all have to, again, give up some of what we want, give up some of our ability to make our own decisions, specific freedoms we give up partially for the benefits of living in society and for the necessities of living in society and civilization. And there are benefits. But that equation is very out of balance at the moment. So You're not taking my guns that I may or may not own. Thanks, everybody.